Have you ever felt a quiet restlessness deep in your chest, like something inside you is calling, but you can't quite name it? It doesn't come from your mind, and it doesn't come from outside validation. It's as if your soul has been whispering to you for years, waiting for the moment you finally stop ignoring it. This is not just anxiety. This is not just dissatisfaction. It's the first spark of awakening. Carl Jung believed that the soul does not speak through logic or achievement. It speaks through fire, an inner impulse that refuses to be silenced. And when this spark ignites, your life can no longer remain the same. Suddenly, pretending feels like betrayal. The roles you once played no longer fit. The people who used to comfort you now leave you feeling drained. Something is shifting, and you know it. Stay with me, because what you are about to discover is not another quick fix or surface-level inspiration. It's a truth hidden in plain sight, the truth that what you thought was your weakness is actually the beginning of your greatest strength. You've probably been told you're too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too restless. The world has a way of labeling depth as weakness, of telling you to toughen up, to stop thinking so much, to stop feeling so deeply. And maybe you tried. You tried to wear the mask, to meet expectations, to smile when your soul was tired. But no matter how hard you played the role, the exhaustion never went away. This is not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. It's a soul-deep fatigue that comes from years of explaining yourself, defending your feelings, and trying to be understood by people who were never truly listening. It's the loneliness of being surrounded by others, but feeling unseen. It's the quiet ache that whispers every night. There has to be more than this. Society trains us to believe that our worth is built on what we achieve, how we appear, and how well we fit in. From childhood, we are conditioned to shrink ourselves so we don't upset others, to adjust and adapt until we forget who we really are. And so you start believing the lie that the only way to belong is to abandon yourself. But here's the truth. What you thought was restlessness is not a flaw. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's the soul's first rebellion against a life that was never truly yours. What you've been calling emptiness is actually space for the beginning of your awakening. Carl Jung, one of the deepest explorers of the human psyche, understood what you are experiencing. He called it the beginning of individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, beyond the masks, beyond society's scripts, beyond the fears you've carried for so long. Individuation is not about becoming someone new. It's about peeling away what is false so that your essence, the self you've always been, can finally breathe. But to walk this path, Jung said you must first encounter your shadow. The shadow is everything you've been taught to hide: your anger, your desires, your sensitivity, even your creativity. Society labeled these parts as too much or unacceptable, so you buried them deep in your unconscious. Yet what you repress does not disappear. It rules you from below, until you make the unconscious conscious. Jung wrote, "It will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is why you feel restless, why old patterns keep repeating, why relationships mirror your wounds back to you. It's not because you're broken. It's because your unconscious is asking to be seen. The synchronicities you notice, the repeating numbers, the right words at the right time, the chance encounters that feel like signs. These are not coincidences. They are messages from the deeper self, guiding you toward integration. Think of it like this. To find the light of your true self, you must walk into the cave where your shadow lives. That cave holds the very strength you've been searching for. The sensitivity you tried to numb is the same gift that allows you to feel life more vividly. The restlessness you tried to silence is the fire pushing you toward authenticity. What once felt like flaws are in truth the seeds of your awakening. So how do you know if the first spark of awakening has already begun within you? Here are some unmistakable signs Jung would recognize as the call of your soul. 1. Restlessness that no achievement can satisfy. You reach milestones, check off goals, and yet the feeling of something missing remains. This is not failure. It's the signal that your soul is asking for depth, not trophies. 2. Sensitivity that feels overwhelming. You notice the energy in a room before a word is spoken. A smile that hides pain. A silence that feels heavy. You pick up on what others ignore. Jung saw sensitivity not as weakness, but as the antenna of the psyche tuned to truth. 3. Old masks feel unbearable. The role you've always played, being agreeable, being perfect, being strong, suddenly feels suffocating. Pretending drains you faster than honesty ever could. This is the shadow pushing forward, demanding to be integrated. 4. Relationships start to mirror your wounds. Conflicts repeat patterns, resurface, and you wonder, why does this always happen to me? Jung would say, these are mirrors of the unconscious urging you to face what lies within. 5. Synchronicities catch your attention. A phrase you needed appears in a book. A song speaks directly to your heart. Numbers repeat at just the right time. Life begins to whisper in symbols, guiding you toward the self. 6. Silence becomes magnetic. You find yourself craving solitude, not as loneliness, but as sanctuary. In stillness, you sense clarity rising, even if it unsettles you. Jung believed the soul speaks in silence far louder than in noise. If you've noticed even one of these, you are not imagining things. You are not broken. You are awakening. Why do these signs appear all at once, disrupting the life you thought you were supposed to live? Jung would say it is because the unconscious has grown too full. For years, you have repressed feelings, silenced instincts, and worn masks to be accepted. But what is buried is never gone. It waits. And when the weight becomes unbearable, it breaks through, not to punish you, but to awaken you. The restlessness you feel is the psyche's protest against a life disconnected from the self. Sensitivity, once seen as fragility, is the very tool your soul uses to perceive truth beyond appearances. When old roles feel suffocating, it is because your authentic self is tired of being disguised. And when relationships repeat painful patterns, it is not random cruelty. It is the shadow demanding your attention, showing you what must be healed. Even synchronicities. The mysterious alignments are the unconscious speaking in symbols, guiding you toward integration. Jung taught that the psyche communicates through dreams, archetypes, and signs. What looks like coincidence is often the soul saying you are not lost. You are being led. This is why the silence you crave is not emptiness, but medicine. Alone in stillness, you create space for what was repressed to surface safely. What you once called loneliness may actually be your initiation into deeper connection with yourself, and later with others, who resonate with your true frequency. Your pain is not evidence that you are broken. It is evidence that something deeper is being born. Like a seed breaking through soil, the process is uncomfortable, even dark. But the darkness is not your end. It is the womb of your transformation. The first spark of awakening shows itself not through ease, but through disruption. And every ache, every tear, every restless night is the soul's way of saying, you are ready to return to yourself. Here is the paradox. Most people never want to face. What you've been running from is not your weakness, it is your gift in disguise. The world told you that your sensitivity makes you fragile, but Jung would say it is the very capacity that allows you to see beyond illusions. The world told you your restlessness means you are ungrateful, but in truth, it is proof that your soul refuses to settle for a life half-lived. It is painful to realize that the things you thought made you broken are actually the doorways to your transformation. That loneliness you've carried, it was never punishment. It was an invitation, a sacred silence designed to strip away the noise so you could hear your own voice again. That ache in your chest, it is not emptiness. It is space being cleared for your true self to emerge. The ego screams for certainty, control, validation, but the soul whispers of surrender, trust, authenticity. This is why awakening often feels like loss at first. You lose roles, relationships, and identities that once gave you comfort. But here's the hard truth: you were never meant to keep them. You were meant to outgrow them. Your pain is not an enemy. It is a teacher. Your shadow is not a monster. It is a hidden ally. And your so-called flaws are the very places where your deepest strength is waiting. The paradox of awakening is that what once made you feel unworthy is exactly what proves you are ready to step into wholeness. So where do you go from here? Awakening is not a quick fix. It is a daily practice of returning to yourself. Jung taught that transformation happens not through grand gestures, but through the small, conscious choices you make each day. Begin with self-reflection. Set aside a few minutes to write what you feel instead of suppressing it. Journaling dream work or simply observing your thoughts without judgment helps bring the unconscious into light. Remember Jung's words. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Second, practice boundaries. Notice where you are giving too much of yourself just to be accepted. Every time you say no to what drains you, you are saying yes to your soul. Boundaries are not rejection. They are an act of love for yourself. Third, lean into silence. Turn off the noise even for a short while each day. In stillness, your intuition grows stronger. That gentle voice inside is not weakness. It is guidance. Trust it. Let it show you where to go next, even if logic can't explain why. Finally, embrace the responsibility of choice. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of how you respond. The first spark of awakening is an invitation, but it is you who must tend the flame. And each time you choose authenticity over performance, you fan that flame brighter. The path may feel uncertain, but know this: every step you take toward yourself is a victory. You don't need to have it all figured out. You only need the courage to keep listening. When you begin to walk this path, something extraordinary starts to unfold. The storms don't vanish, but they no longer shake you to the core. You face challenges with a steadiness that surprises even you, because you've learned to see them not as punishments, but as invitations to grow. Relationships shift as well. Instead of clinging to people who cannot meet you, you begin to attract those who see you as you truly are. The masks drop, and the connections that remain are deeper, richer, and more nourishing than you imagined possible. You no longer beg for crumbs of attention. You resonate with those who speak the same language of the soul. Inside, a new peace begins to bloom. The restlessness that once kept you awake turns into a fire of purpose. Silence, once painful, becomes a sanctuary where your creativity and intuition awaken. You discover that being alone does not mean being empty, It means being whole. From that wholeness, your energy changes. You walk into a room, and people feel it, even if they can't explain why. And perhaps the most beautiful shift of all is this: you stop betraying yourself. The person you once abandoned for approval becomes the person you now honor above all. You no longer perform to earn love. You radiate authenticity, and love flows to you naturally in its purest form. This is the gift of the first spark of awakening. It does not just change how you see yourself, it changes how the world responds to you. Because when you return to your essence, life begins to reorganize itself around your truth.